Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of the internet, what is up? How's it going? Zendred coming back at you once again with another hardware review after a very long time, I must admit. And today's special feature is the gold PlayStation 4 Dualshock 4 controller. So, you might have seen this bad boy when I did a slight teaser. I posted it into my Facebook profile, and notice off the bat that top half of the controller, the whole top half of it is covered in gold, and the bottom half of it is in the usual Sony matte black finish. And naturally, the controller on the underside of it has got very comfortable grips, which provide you anti-sweat glide, because usually when you tend to have sweaty palms, you feel like the controller is slipping out of your hands. This is especially evident with the normal Xbox One controller, which does not have any side grips on the wings of it, as you might call this particular part of the controller. So you do not have any grips, and sometimes when people like me who have sweaty palms using the controller for extended periods of time, we'll actually feel like it's slipping out of our hands, and have to constantly wipe our palms on our trousers or on our pants or on a handkerchief or whatever, and it can get kind of distracting, and you'll tend to lose your momentum when you're engaged in the game. But with this controller, however, it makes it a lot easier to use it for extended periods of time. And to further improve on the sweat absorption capabilities of the device, I purchased Control Freak's grips as well. And this company called Control Freaks, they actually make custom grips for controllers, which featured over here, like for the DualShock 4s and also for the Xbox One controllers. They make custom made grips, and they also make thumb caps, which is like the one that I have here. I purchased these thumb caps or grips so that it will not wear out the normal material used to make the thumbsticks. So it's something similar to this. What's under these caps is something similar to the materials used to make the thumbstick for the Xbox One controller as well, and it wears out pretty fast. So to prevent this, I bought the extra thumb caps, and these help a great deal simply because they're slightly elevated and they give your hand, or your thumb more precisely, a better hold when you're trying to do all your movement inputs and your motions. Pretty good addition to the best product overall. And the experience using this thing has been very comfortable. It's definitely serves this function well, particularly when you're playing fighting games or when you're playing hack and slash games like any of the God of War games on the PlayStation. And I did my testing with this controller on the PC, and since I primarily play fighting games, I tested it out on playing Mortal Kombat X, Mortal Kombat 9, and I also tested it out on Ultra Street Fighter 4. Unfortunately, I could not test this controller out on not Ultra Street Fighter. I'm so hyped for Street Fighter 5 that I actually said it's Ultra Street Fighter 5. Sorry guys. So I tested this only while playing Ultra Street Fighter 4, because apparently Street Fighter 5 on the PC does not have support or native support for PlayStation controllers. And this means that any DualShock controllers that you might own will not work with it. Only Xbox controllers work with it. And that's kind of weird, because the Street Fighter 5 game is supposed to be an PS4 and PC exclusive game only. So why they would not include native support for the DualShock controller is a bit of a mystery. But Capcom are working on a fix and patch to making sure that this is rectified. So once that is done, I will definitely look forward to using this controller and playing Street Fighter 5 with it. So far, I've only had to use this controller to play Street Fighter 5, and it is adequate, although it does not give me as much satisfaction to trigger the inputs for Ryu's Hadoukens by doing the quarter circle with the thumbstick. because it's so readily accessible and lower, on the lower left part of the controller, rather than me having to constantly put my left thumb on top over here, where I do feel sometimes it can feel the fatigue getting to me because I have to constantly go down and stop here at a quarter circle. If I go beyond this, I might end up triggering Ryu's Shoryuken instead and doing an uppercut, which I totally do not want to do, and I can get punished very easily for it. There's a lot of frame data involved there, so I'm not going to get into the specifics of the game, but suffice to say that it can end up having a lot of input errors, especially when you are unable to properly execute the moves. And given that fighting games in general are very tense, they tend to result in very intense engagements as the matches progress, and as you tend to get reads in your opponents, and you try to outdo each other, things can get pretty intense, and you require that precision of the inputs. Like to do Shoryukens, you have to do a Z motion, so you have to cross your controller thumbstick like that. It's a zigzag, and then the Shoryuken will come out. Depending on which button you press, it actually happens faster or slower, and it also starts up faster or slower depending on which button you press. So in general, this controller is very impressive. It's very precise, it's comfortable in your hands. It's got anti palm sweat technology built into it, and I've also got the extra pads for it as well. Compatibility with most games on PC works, but for the moment, if you're mainstream PC gamer and you're just strictly going to be gaming on PC, you're better off with the Xbox One controller. Although it's kind of a shame that Sony did not decide to natively have a lot of supported titles for the controller to be used with. Otherwise, it works pretty well. And with the upcoming control patch for Street Fighter V, you should be able to use this and get in some more game time. So there you have it, guys. That's my rather short comparison / review of this controller. It's definitely worth it if you're interested and looking for a spare DualShock controller to have parties with your friends, or you have someone you want to spar with for practicing to play fighting games or racing or hack and slash. Yeah, I highly recommend you get the DualShock because it's comfortable, it's totally worth the price. You also have this blue color eye that functions as a status indicator for the controller. It tells you whether the device is synced up, whether it has low battery, and another host of functionality which is available with the PS4 when you synchronize it. And this blank space over here is actually a touchpad. So some games actually allow you to use the touchpad to draw patterns and to interact with the game apart from the standard buttons which you have inside here, or with the analog sticks or the D-pad. So yeah, you can use a different kind of interaction with certain software titles, and Sony has integrated that part of the that feature into the controller's construction. And there you have it, guys. Look at the gold DualShock controller and my experience with it so far. And with that, I shall sign off. But before that, I shall provide everyone with a slight, even slighter tease of what's coming next, because it involves something we all know too well, eh? Peace out, guys.